Welcome back to Bethany Sports Beat. Don Westfall here as we continue our glance at the preseason previews for fall sports teams. And we're going to talk about women's soccer right now, bringing in Lyngholm. And Coach, coming off a really great season for you last year in terms of getting all the way to the conference semifinals, and you were kind of a fixture all along near the top of the UMAC race. And this year, looking forward, you're in the same mix kind of with regard as far as the experience you're bringing in, the blend between things up front offensively and defensively. You must feel pretty optimistic about things, at least on paper right now.
Yeah, so far so good. We have, probably our 3 top offensive scorers back from last year. A really good, solid blend, like you said, of returning players and then newcomers. So as long as you stay healthy, knock on wood, we should have a good season.
Are you one of those, and I would imagine you are because I used to watch you play out here for the Vikings, you need to have somebody in goal who's going to be pretty talented, potentially the most athletic person on the team, much like you were.
Oh, not so much.
Not so much. But again, for you, it starts at that position, certainly defensively,
sure.
And bringing Avery Cash back on board is a nice start for you between the pipes back there at the keeper spot.
Yeah, no, Avery started off the year great last year before injury, kind of sidelined her season. But Avery's a very capable keeper, and then we also brought in Rachel Hydorn, whose brother Noah had played for our men's team for a number of years, and Rachel's really impressed. Yesterday afternoon, she put on a really good show, and I had to sit down with both goalkeepers and say, this is not just Avery's job. This is an open competition for both of you, and I think both of them will be up for the task.
Defensively in front of them, also some strong players in that regard?
Yes, Rachel Melby started off last season as probably one of our 2 or 3 best players before I think it was a stress fracture in her foot, kind of took away her second part of the season. So she's back at 100%. On the other side, we had Abby Goss, who I think has been honorable mention all conference both of her first 2 years. So a really good, solid nucleus of defense, and we've got a couple really good freshmen coming in that I think will make an immediate impact as well.
And of course, offensively up front, things start for you with Nicole Mostad, but there's a lot of other talent behind her. You get Bridget Hennon in there, Taylor Friel, who missed a large portion of the season last year with injury. So those are 3, players who are definitely going to make an impact as far as scoring for you.
Definitely. Nicole was the top scoring freshman in our conference last year. I think it was the second, maybe best season we've ever had as a Bethany player, period. Bridget Hennon added a lot, and the season before that, Taylor Friel was our leading scorer before injury in her 3rd or 4th game last year. So, one of the big things, obviously we've already talked a lot about injuries to our returning players. The big thing is going to be, keeping those people healthy. And if we keep healthy, I think we're going to be in for a very, very solid season.
So how has the team dealt with the fact that, again, last year you were in the conference semifinals, so the expectations are there. There's a lot of experience coming back. So how have you guys reconciled the fact that people have identified, Bethany's going to be a team that we're going to have to contend with to go anywhere in the conference? Are they kind of comfortable with that?
Sure.
Is it a different role for them?
Well, Coach Pipel and I always kind of joke, in these preseason polls, we both would love to be at like 8 or 9. We like people to underestimate us and stuff. But obviously, you feel good when your peers look at you as a team to compete with and that sort of a thing. I think with our returning players, we've been to the playoffs. We've done this before. Now what we want to do is advance in the playoffs. We'd love to have a home playoff game this year. St. Scholastica has been the top of our league for a number of years now. They have a lot of their scoring has graduated. A lot of their players who've been just, the foundation of their team is gone now. Same with Minnesota Morris. And that doesn't mean that they don't have talent that can replace it, but it's going to be a different season for them as well. And so what we're hoping to do is kind of capitalize on that newness, and hopefully we can jump up a couple spots and surprise some people.
Yeah, looking here on paper at the conference, I've never seen this level of parity within, teams within our conference in a number of seasons, because if you look at things top to bottom, especially in the middle where Bethany is right now in the preseason polls, in there tied for 4th, but teams 3 through 7 literally are separated by a couple of games, 6 points in the column. From your perspective, is the race, obviously, again, as you mentioned, Morris and Scholastic are going to be up there teams to beat, but as far as the rest of the conference, is it that wide open in your estimation as well?
Oh, I think for sure. I mean, last year we had 3 teams tie for 3rd place in the conference, us being one of them. And thankfully, we had swept Martin Luther College. Because of that, we went to the playoffs as a 3 seed. And even though I think overall they had a better record than us, they didn't even make the playoffs. So, I mean, it was very competitive right in the middle of the conference there. And you throw in teams like Northwestern, I know, has got a big recruiting class in this year. And obviously UW Superior joining the conference. I think it's going to be a very wide open race. And, with our conference expanding to a 5-team playoff, it should be very exciting coming down the stretch about people trying to avoid that 4 or 5 play-in game and hopefully getting home field advantage, that kind of thing. So I think it makes for probably the most wide open, exciting race since I've been here as a coach.
Certainly one of those things that we're going to have to watch as the season goes on, and it could be that last week, the week of Halloween, before things get decided.
Oh, it definitely could. I mean, the last 2 years we've been in that boat going into the last weekend. 2 years ago, sadly, we missed the playoffs. Last year we made it. So it all comes down to the very end with this conference almost every year, it seems.
Hopefully you guys control your own destiny, and it's a matter of not if you're in the playoffs in that last week, but it's hopefully we'll be home for at least the first round of the playoffs, and that's the goal we'll be shooting for.
Well, my personal goal is to be figuring out where we're going to receive the trophy. Is it going to be at home or is it going to be on the road? That's
I like that kind of thinking. Excellent. Let's go with that. Very good. Again, the end of the season, optimism reigns, does it not?
Absolutely.
Very good. Derek Lyngholm and Don Westfall here talking women's soccer on the Bethany Sports Beat.